Today is Monday, March 11th. We are now live with the latest in the crypto world. It's 9:30 a.m. in New York City, 2:30 p.m. in London, 11:30 p.m. in Tokyo, and 3:30 p.m. here in Malta. Digital assets have remained bullishly steady. The total market capitalization edged above the $135 billion mark over the weekend to post a new high for this month. The cryptocurrency index CCI 30 has held its ground above the 2,300 point level. The year has been increasingly bullish and the index is currently more than 6% in the green year to date. The bearish January has followed by a green February and the index is up by nearly 3% so far in March. The 30-day Bitcoin volatility index has made a move lower yesterday after staying virtually unchanged at just slightly less than 3% for close to 2 weeks. The 24-hour traded volume indicator has remained at an elevated level of more than $30 billion throughout most of the past week. Turnover spiked above the $36 billion mark on Saturday, but it has currently eased back. With the overall market moving mostly sideways, the Bitcoin dominance indicator has had no significant moves and it stands at slightly less than 52%. The top 5 digital assets are all trading lower over the past 24 hours. Bitcoin has been trending up during the past week and it appears to be ready to test the $4,000 price level if the sentiment doesn't shift radically. Ether has retracted slightly after testing the 140 resistance level last week. XRP slipped below the 31 support level on Saturday, but it has since recovered and lost ground. Litecoin surged by approximately 20% early last week, but it has been relatively steady above the $55 level since Thursday. EOS has dropped towards the $3.60 mark. The Coin 360 heatmap shows a generally mixed picture, but the major cryptocurrencies show no significant moves. According to the Token Spread website, the XMO exchange has had the biggest bid and ask difference of 0.3% for the Bitcoin dollar instrument. The BitMEX and Bitfinex exchange have the biggest intermarket spread of less than 3%. To wrap up this section, we will look at some of the characteristics of the recently bullish Engine coin. Engine is an IT company that was founded in Singapore in 2009. It has become one of the largest online gaming community platforms and it has had a range of products. These include Engine Network, which is a content management system and social platform. Then there's Engine Wallet, which lets users store cryptocurrencies and collectibles. Finally, there is also Engine Coin, which is the token that is based on the Ethereum blockchain. It is a digital coin that can be used across many different websites and online games. The token can also be converted into other kinds of digital property, like game items or in-game currency. The altcoin reached its all-time high price level of nearly 50 cents in early 2018. It then traded at just over the 3-cent mark for most of this year before surging above the 20-cent price level on partnership with Samsung. We will now review the performance of various cryptocurrency asset classes. We use data from the Messari website, which groups cryptocurrencies in 5 major categories. The infrastructure group posts a decline of 1%. Cardano and Ethereum Classic bucked the trend by standing slightly in the green. The media and entertainment category is the most bearish asset class with a decline of nearly 3%. The Theta token is the bearish driver with a double-digit drop. The financial sector is virtually unchanged and the Algo token is providing upward pressure with a gain of close to 5%. The currency category stands close to 1% in the red despite an extremely bullish performance by the Stellar Lumens token. And lastly, the service section is the only category that is in the green today. The Project Pi coin is a major contributor to the move higher. This is how the cryptos have performed based on their asset classes so far this Monday. And finally, we will review the move significant among the top 100 cryptocurrencies to identify the top gainers and the biggest decliners. We'll start with the gainers. The majority of the assets are lower, but there are plenty of significant moves higher. The alpha version of the first social app on the Project Pi blockchain was launched last week. The coin surged by more than 100% in a weekend, which was extremely busy. The 24-hour trading volume jumped towards $50 million, a level the altcoin has not seen since early 2018. The repo token has returned back above the 70-cent mark on an increase of 20%. The daily traded volume is low at just over $100,000. Stellar Lumens is the top performer among the large cap with a double-digit gain. The asset has gained approximately 25% over the past week to break through the 10-cent resistance level. The one-chain coin made a bullish move over the weekend. The asset shows a daily gain of 14% on an elevated daily traded volume of more than $10 million. The maximum coin has made its way on the front of the coin market cap website with an increase of 12%. However, more than 90% of the traded volume originates from the Coinbene exchange for this digital asset. We'll now move on to the decliners. Most of the top declines are corrections after a bullish weekend. The Raven coin was on its way towards the 4-cent mark on last Friday. The correction has wiped out a large chunk of the gains, and the asset trades at less than 3 cents. The Kyber network token surged by more than 100% over the weekend, but some of the gains have given up in a following pullback. The Cash token gained approximately 60% over the past 7 days. The asset has retreated by 8% over the past 24 hours. The Theta token surged towards the 20-cent zone yesterday. The sharp rise has been followed by profit taking, as some of the gains have been cancelled out. The Digitex Futures token wraps up this list with a decline of nearly 7% as the altcoin slipped below the 8-cent mark. These were the top 24-hour moves during the European morning trading session this Monday. We will now join our crypto experts Jason Fernandez of AE Token and trading coach Walter Kaplan. Hi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Walter, we'll start with you if you want to answer our first question. The total market capitalization printed a fresh high for the month over the weekend. What is your view on the markets, and can traders remain optimistic that March could be a green month? Walter, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I also agree in that we should be optimistic, because I said last week that I focus more on the Bitcoin chart, because in my opinion the Bitcoin chart is dependent, like the market cap is dependent on the Bitcoin chart. So if we just look at Bitcoin, last week's candle closed very good. It's closed very bullish. And also if we look at the monthly, last month also was very bullish. So in my opinion, we are right now in some sort of a consolidation period. So I want to highlight that it's very important that we close above $4,100 to keep this bullish momentum going. But so far so good, I would say, and I'm also really optimistic about this month.
Sure. And Jason, are you equally as optimistic? Let us know. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with Walter. I think we've had a green month in February. And Bitcoin, for example, has the advantage of time and adoption. So as adoption grows, Bitcoin has been getting more and more useful, as the time goes on. So I think that that sort of momentum basically implies to me, at least, that I think that we may have seen the bottom of Bitcoin for the near future. I think I'm optimistic, especially because I think all the indicators mostly are good, particularly with Bitcoin. But as Walter pointed out, the market is highly dependent on Bitcoin. There's a high degree of correlation. So if you just look at the Bitcoin, the chart for Bitcoin and how that's gone, I think things are looking up. But yeah, we are in a sort of a dangerous sort of testy period until we, once you break out past 4,000, it'll probably be 4,300, 4,200 probably be the next number to look at. But I think, I think overall it's going pretty good.
Okay, sure. And one expert spoke of the continuation of market consolidation. Do you agree with this comment, and how would you explain this move, and what can usually be expected after a consolidation period? Walter, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I would agree on that, between 4,000 and 3,500, where we have like a major support zone, we just consolidate right now. And what we can expect after this consolidation period is either a big move to the upside or a big move to the downside.
Okay. Yeah. No, please do continue. Please do continue.
Yeah. All right. So I'm expecting either a big move to the upside or to the downside, whereby I'm leaning more towards the upside. But especially now looking at this move is something you can explain more on the chart, because we had this big shakeout to 3,700 down. Then again, we surged down with the price, and this is the perfect place to trap retail investors who see that it's going down, down, down. Even I was thinking that it was going further down to 3,500, but support came in, and now it looked more to like a bear trap where the price went up again very high to 3,900. And now, as I said, it's very important to look at this 4K zone, because if we cannot break it up to the upside, we will continue in this consolidation pattern. Yeah, so that's why I'm also thinking that we are in the consolidation pattern until we see either a break to the up over 4K or a breakdown under 3,500, I think.
Okay, sure. And Jason, do you agree, disagree? What else can you add? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I think we see this even with Ethereum, for example. Ethereum is consolidating into a tighter and tighter range over time. We see Bitcoin is trading sideways. After markets go through like a bullish session, they sometimes consolidate or they go through a slight retracement, and there's like a small period of price discovery. I think markets seem calm, but overall the indicators are bullish. And as volumes continue to increase, and we've seen pretty decent volumes, today was 31 billion, I think. That's a good thing, and I think that that as long as the indicators are somewhat bullish and volumes increase, we could see probably a positive breakout north for Bitcoin and the market in general.
Okay.
What I would like to add on that point, what I would like to add is that what we can see in the total market cap, that we get a volume increase over and over. So this is also a very bullish indicator to me, and that's why I think that we probably this time could break out of the 4K zone.
Okay, sure. And just continuing with this, Bitcoin continues to flirt unsuccessfully with the $4,000 level. Experts continue to say it will drop lower if it continues this trend. So how do you interpret these moves? And in fact, Coin Predictor says it may face a decline that may see the price go down as far as $2,600 by the end of this month. So how realistic is this scenario, Walter?
Well, I would not agree on that, because as I said, it's very important to look at the higher time frame. And on the higher time frame, we printed a very bullish monthly candle. It was a bullish engulfing candle, basically. People who are into trading know what I'm talking about. So it's basically a very good sign. Also, looking at the weekly close yesterday was also very bullish. So we could, of course, get a drop, but I won't think that it will go as down as 2,600, because as I pointed out earlier, we have a major support zone at 3,500, and it will be a big fight to break down this price point. So I wouldn't see it that low. I'm leaning also more towards the upside right now, because we just went in and put the price back up. So we could see that 3.6 till 3.5 is very strong support.
Okay, so more optimistic then. And Jason, what do you think? $2,600, is that realistic?
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic. I highly doubt it would go to 2,600 this month. I think that I don't think we've actually seen the end of the Bitcoin bull run yet. I think it's going to start picking back up. As you pointed out, has been unsuccessful at crossing the 4,000 point, but volumes remain up, and overall the trend, I think, is bullish. So it's probably just waiting for the next round of good news to break up. To break out into the 4,000s. And while traditionally 4,000 is not seen as a particular psychological point, it does seem to be the case more and more lately, because we've been sort of hovering around this anywhere from 3,850 to just above 4,000. It's sort of been going back and forth. But yeah, I mean, the indicators are all good. I just don't see it dropping to, especially 2,600, because we have, as Walter pointed out, there is major support at the $3,500-$3,600 range, and we see that just recently, like last week. So I highly doubt that you're going to, unless something majorly bad comes out, I highly doubt it's going to drop even to 3,000. I would be very surprised.
Okay, so also quite optimistic there. Analysts believe that Ethereum is too closely correlated to Bitcoin, and that is why it has remained flat over the past few days. So do you agree with this assertion, and what would Ether need to do to break free of that correlation? Walter, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I agree on that, because we can see a big correlation on all the big market cap coins. Let's say Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, they all move together. So what Ethereum should do to break out of this correlation is the same what Binance Coin did. It's just that Binance is working really hard. They're improving their platform. They're adding new features, which simplify things for investors. So they have to focus on real world adoption. That's what they have to do to keep the price of Ethereum going up.
Sure. And Jason, what are your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree? Let us know.
Yeah, so I don't think it's bad for either to have a higher correlation with Bitcoin as long as Bitcoin is going up, obviously. I think it's been flat because there's not really been a lot of positive news for Ethereum lately to push it up. We've seen that Ethereum has sort of failed to surpass the $144 level, $145 resistance level, and ETH and the ETH USD pair is declining slowly, and it's sort of at risk for a downside break. I think that it could possibly go down unless somehow Bitcoin is able to break past that 4,000 and pretty much drag Ethereum up with it because of the high degree of correlation. It's interesting though because recently Google had decided to include a Bitcoin icon on their keyboard, and Vitalik basically contacted them and asked them to put one foot up for Ethereum, and they promptly replied back saying that they thought that that Bitcoin was a lot more stable and that the other ones were highly unlikely to stick around. So that was kind of a pretty bad moment, I think, for Ethereum and for Vitalik. So I mean, so certainly Google doesn't seem to think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are quite correlated, but the market seems to think that. And as long as that's true, if Ethereum is not able to break out soon, it would start going down unless Bitcoin is able to drag it up with it and Bitcoin breaks out. So that's kind of what I think we're looking at.
Okay, sure. And Walter, you did mention Binance, and Binance has actually been one of the examples of how to thrive in a bear market. The exchange is shutting down tomorrow for about 8 hours for an upgrade. So do you know anything about this upgrade, and how will it affect the crypto exchange and its Binance coin, Walter?
Well, honestly, I was looking at the blog article of Binance, and to me, it just seems like a normal system upgrade. I don't really think that it will affect too much the Binance coin, honestly, but we've seen manipulative moves coming when exchanges shut it down, especially on highly leveraged exchanges like BitMEX. But in this particular case with Binance, I don't really think that we see something really crazy happening.
Okay, sure. And Jason, what do you think? Do you think it's something crazy? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we've had much information about what the scheduled upgrade is expected to be, but CZ tweeted that it was going to be big. We're not really sure what that means, but what sometimes tends to happen is that during periods of scheduled maintenance, traders will sometimes liquidate their positions prior to maintenance in order to remove any unnecessary risk. So this is supposed to last like 8 hours, but that's just an estimated time period. And I guess once it gets back online, we'll start seeing which way it moves. But there has been a lot of controversy about maintenance, and particularly because maintenance offers an exchange quite an ability to sort of manipulate prices, and people have been suspicious about Binance. About that for Binance in the past, so that's sort of one of the things that could cause some issues, because we have seen in the past, traders tend to liquidate their positions. So.
Yes, exactly. And some sources have said that the temporary maintenance shutdown of a major cryptocurrency exchanges are used to whales to manipulate the price of Bitcoin, as you've obviously just mentioned. So do you believe this to be true? Is it going to result in manipulation, Walter?
Well, exactly. In this particular case, I don't think so, because if you just look at the Binance coin, you can't really trade it on leveraged positions. You can't trade it really on. You just have the spot market of Binance. And in this case, I don't really think so. But to have less risk, I think, on the table, it is not a bad idea if someone is already in Binance Coin and is riding this wave up to take profits on this set. Because, as Jason mentioned, we have big news coming up. There's a lot of controversy going on, and we don't really know what happens. So in terms of this doubtness, yeah, I would say it's not a bad idea to take profits off the table.
And Jason, where do you stand? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think Binance still holds one of the biggest Tether wallets, and it does help boost the influence of Tether, and that's sort of added to suspicions of market manipulations. And Binance has also been accused of wash trading because there's been a high volume of sort of obscure smaller cap coins that within a short amount of time, without any correlation to any news, have had like massive trades, high volume trading. So that sort of is generally a red flag for wash trading. But Blockchain Transparency Institute did a study on this and found that something like 23 out of 25 trading pairs were subject to extensive fraud. But interestingly, the two that weren't were actually Binance and Bitfinex. So Binance for the BTC USDT trade. So yes, there is a lot of suspicion, directed towards Binance, but certainly at least the Blockchain Transparency Institute seems to feel like it's not really a problem, and it hasn't quite been proved to be any sort of issue. There hasn't quite been proved any sort of. And by the way, that also happens to be illegal. So I would be highly surprised if CZ and Binance was actually doing that.
Okay, sure. Well, we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled, keep our eyes open to see what comes next. Walter, Jason, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both on the line with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we sign off, I have a last-minute update from our editorial staff regarding the crypto market. The total market capitalization has slipped from the $135 billion level as approximately $3 billion was wiped out from markets. Trading has remained active and the daily traded volume stands north of the $31 billion mark. Stellar Lumens shines in the sea of large cap red, but the gain has moderated as the bearish sentiment appears to be taking over the markets. Tether has engaged in a battle with the Binance coin for the 7th position in the total market cap rankings. Both digital assets have the total valuation standing at just slightly more than $2 billion. Well, that's all for this Monday's Crypto Now Live. We thank Walter Kaplan and Jason Fernandez for their expert analysis. We thank the audience for joining us, and we invite you all to accompany us every weekday at the same time.